Hey, ESPN, I'm Jack. I'm the co-founder of Crack.com.
And I'm Miles, a former lobbyist that loves soccer and gets very nervous when I'm pulled over by the police.
And we're the hosts of The Daily Zeitgeist, a daily comedic news podcast that covers politics, pop culture, and we're both big sports fans. I'm actually named after my grandfather, legendary NBA coach Dr. Jack Ramsey.
Oh, well, I'm named after Miles Davis, a legendary heroin addict who is not my grandfather.
It's not a competition. So search The Daily Zeitgeist on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts, or give it away for free.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom, boom, boom.
I am so excited for today's show. Jalen Rose is not here.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Jalen Rose is not here.
Okay, that's why you're excited. That makes
People
more
are
sense.
going to answer the questions that I ask.
Right.
Not going to completely derail the show with whatever they want to talk about.
Naturally.
And I am joined by Brian Windhorst. How are you, sir?
Awesome.
Later on, we'll be joined by Michelle Beadle. Brian is with us now. Brian, how many people call you Brian Windhorst?
Many.
I can imagine. I can imagine a lot of people. But I think a lot of people just don't know the T even exists.
I also, when I say it, I usually drop the T off. You know, the thing about it is, like, if you're going to use the German pronunciation, it's Hurst. But only my mom cares about that, which I don't understand because she and my dad's got divorced. I don't care. I don't know why she cares so much about the name, to be honest with you. So, but technically, if you're going to use German, I guess if you're going to use German, it would be Windhorst.
I suppose. I was listening to the Low Post.
Yeah.
Just to steal things and steal opinions
Naturally.
and such. And Thon Maker, not Thon Maker. It's like Thon Maker. And it's like,
really?
Maybe you should just rock with Maker. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
Maker,
he's just like, you know what? This is fine. Like, Maker works. It's
right.
like, it's got a
what
pun
was it?
thing to it.
Tony Dorsett, and then he became Tony Dorsett.
So, yes,
yeah,
exactly. We had something with Robertson and Roberson as well.
Right. I think it's Roberson, right?
Now it is Robertson. It has changed again.
He's not good enough to
start dictating.
Right.
Thon Maker's got potential.
And then what's that guy in the NFL draft? He was Mitch Trubisky.
Trubinsky, yeah.
And he's like, I want to be known as Mitchell.
Good. Well, for the next 2 hours, we'll just be talking about how to say people's names.
That sounds good.
That's what we do here on Jalen and Jacoby. So glad
Why
Jalen
not
isn't
4
here.
hours?
LeBron James. I'm sure you're familiar with him.
Yes.
After
LeBron
loss to the
Raymond
Nuggets,
James.
He does this thing where he's negative reinforcement LeBron during the regular season, and then he switches right at the end of the regular season into positive reinforcement LeBron, and now he's in full negative reinforcement LeBron mode, questioning their toughness. What is he doing?
I don't know what he's doing because his toughness was not exactly super strong last night. Now, a couple times he had to guard like Nikola Jokic, and he had to like play bigger, and he was battling, but like his aggression level on defense this season has not been strong. Now, I get it because he's like, I'm carrying such a load, I'm playing all these minutes. It's a business decision that he's making, which is I'm going to save it for the stretch run. I'm not going to gas myself 80 times in the regular season. So I totally get it. I'm not looking at him sideways for it. The problem is when you're getting all your teammates to play better defense and you're standing there and not rotating, and it's causing problems. And so, but being his teammate would be hard. You know, like I want to read Kevin Love's memoir because
Especially Kevin Love.
That first year he was there where he's subtweeting him and saying stuff out the side of his mouth in the media to him, Kevin Love must have been going home going, what the hell is going on? But this is what I would say about LeBron. No matter how much he irritates you with what he may say, no matter how much he irritates you about sometimes he creates a tension that maybe you don't want. No matter how much he irritates you by the time how he'll make a mistake on defense and then look at you like you just stole his lunch or something like that, it's all worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a full-fledged LeBron stan, and we're going to do a full LeBron segment after this, which I'm really excited about.
Right.
So like you don't have to tell me that, but let's stay in the moment with the Cavs. You mentioned the defensive effort. They're 21st in defensive rating.
And like 15th in field goal percentage defense and like 22nd in other metrics. Bad across the board.
Does it matter?
I've covered the league for 15 years. My experience says yes, that your habits that you build up over the course of 6 months make a difference in the playoffs. I always go back to this conversation I had with Shane Battier, after the 2014 finals. Heat lose 4-1. Shane announces his retirement in the locker room. And he's being very candid. He's retired now. And he goes, you know what? All season long, we were like 14th, 12th, 15th in defense. He's like, you got to be a top 10 defensive team. And I was watching that number all year long, and yeah, we got here, but we just weren't good enough. We didn't have good enough habits, and the chickens came home to roost. And I'll never forget that. And so now I look at the Cavs, and I go, like you said, they're 22nd. Terrible defensive habits. But then you can also say, well, look, 2001 Lakers, horrible defensive, below average defensive team during the season, go 15-1 in the playoffs. You go back to the 95 Rockets. Again, another team that was a bad defensive team during the year, turns it on, wins the championship. Go back to the 88 Lakers. Those are the three teams that were really outside the top 10 in defense and still won the title. And what did all three of those teams have in common? They were all defending champs. So I look at the Cavs and I say, well, what Shane said and what my experience says, that the habits really matter. I also say, you know what? This is a veteran team who, rightly or wrongly, fears nobody in the East and has difficulty getting excited for a Tuesday or Wednesday night game in Denver. And part of me says, you know what? I think if you go overboard on this and freak out, that you might be missing the bigger picture.
I think that's fair. So now we have you here. Jalen and I often talk about how we fix some things in the NBA that need fixed. And now that I have you, I'd like to get a fresh take on a couple of these things. Adam Silver apparently got on the phone with Chris Paul, who had to watch the All-Star game at home for the first time in a long time.
Right.
And came to the conclusion that the All-Star game needs to be fixed and needs to be more competitive. Okay, he calls your phone and says, Brian, I love what you've done covering the league. You are my favorite NBA analyst.
All right, let's now step
you
out
are
of...
my favorite, okay?
Yeah.
What should I do with the All-Star game, Brian?
Well, first thing is I would expand the rosters a little bit because they play with 12 now, and really there's 13 teams, there's 13 players eligible. I would like to get a few more people because that way if a player only wants to go through the motions for 5
like a
or
Boogie
6
Cousins
minutes,
this year sort of thing.
whatever that was all about. And they can do that and get out of the way. But you may have some guys at 14 or 15 who may really want to play because the younger guys are always going to be more involved. So the first thing I would do is expand the roster. And the second thing I would do is I would consider making a monetary
Yes. I mean, there is a prize purse, but if they doubled it, tripled it, it would certainly make a difference.
Yeah, and I think
money's a great motivator. It's a great motivator. Let's be honest.
I mean, I don't know what the number is. Is it $250,000 a man? Is it?
No, it's less. I think it's like $30,000 or something.
Well, but I mean,
60.
They already signed the new CBA, so I'm like they could put something in there. But I would add just that to it because something else. Even if the players themselves don't really care about the actual $50,000 or whatever it is, the perception that they're playing for money will make a difference, and that will affect how.
Can I pitch you my fix?
Yes.
Double the money, triple the money. All right, money is a motivator. I mean, it's easy. Like, just ratchet that up, okay?
Yeah.
Reset the score at halftime. The second half winner gets the money prize. So the first half is your off the backboard alley-oops, your Steph Curry lying on the ground. It's a warm-up. It's an exhibition. It's look at us. We're great athletes. We can shoot from 30 feet from the basket. And then in the second half, it's sort of reset the score 0-0, and then the winner of the second half gets the money.
Like, on one hand, I don't like it because it's a bastardized version of the game.
Oh, it's completely just mutilates any sort of like tradition or legacy.
But what they have now is so bad that it may take something. I'm not shooting it down right out of hand. I think there's some. In other words, get your fun out, and if you don't want to play hard, like if you've decided you want to rest this weekend, you don't play in the second half.
You want Rudy Gobert to take the ball up, he does it in the first half.
It's a sound argument.
It's kind of like a best of both worlds thing. Is kind of what I'm looking at.
Right. Enjoy the first half.
Yeah. Throw it off the backboard. Try to do what you can. In the second half, we're going to sort of ratchet up.
I like it.
Here's the question I was most excited to ask you. I've traveled to pretty much every American city. You've covered the NBA, so you've traveled to most NBA cities, I can imagine, if not all of them. What is your sneaky favorite? You can't just say like Miami, not a big one. Sort of like
I lived in Miami.
Sort of a smaller city that is your favorite NBA road city.
I love Portland.
I love Portland too. It's probably top 3 for me.
Portland
I love Portland.
Unfortunately, during the season, it's always raining in Portland.
It's not that bad though. I think that the people in the Pacific Northwest sort of like have a PR campaign to make us believe the weather is worse than it actually is, so we don't move there.
So Portland is like Seattle with better traffic. Also, most Western cities are not walkable cities. I mean, you can,
Yeah.
but they're more spread out. I mean, obviously,
point.
LA is not, but Portland's downtown is very compact and walkable.
And it's where all the hotels are.
And the hotels are all like boutique hotels. There's no like 70-story monstrosities that you could be anywhere. All the hotels have character. There's districts. You can walk to the Pearl District, the Rose Quarter. The food is
Culture.
excellent. I mean, I love Portland.
It's got an Austin weirdness thing to it.
It definitely does. That was where I first started to see food trucks. Like circa, now maybe somebody could come on us from Portland and be like, we had those in 1978. But I first started seeing like food trucks like circa 2004 in Portland. That's where I first saw that culture.
Huge bonus of Portland. Largest, I believe, I make things up on this show all the time, don't worry about it. Largest per capita strip club in the country. However, concerning, a lot of Caucasian dreadlocks. I want to talk to you about LeBron James. You've covered him. You went to the same high school as LeBron James.
We did, and they won in the state Final Four today. Pulled an upset, and I think they hit a buzzer beater or something to reach the state title game. So good luck fighting Irish.
Did you play high school basketball?
I did not.
Did you? Were you in high school? Were you there? Were you in the locker room with the notepad?
No, I definitely was a sports writer in high school. I played on the high school golf team.
Nice.
Yes.
Still golf?
I don't anymore. I gave it up.
Good.
But I was at one time a decent competitive golfer, and my senior year we finished 5th in the state, although it was fueled by this one guy who like won every tournament he played. So I didn't have a big role in that. But yeah.
LeBron James questions.
Yeah.
How real is the perception that LeBron James has a very strong influence over the coaching changes and the roster changes at the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Not true.
Really?
Not true.
You know I'm setting you up to say yes to that question as well.
Sorry, I know you have your whole system.
Yeah.
So when LeBron came back in 2014, he engineered a few moves for sure, specifically the Kevin Love trade.
Of course. I mean, he did not include Wiggins in the SI
I
letter.
hate to be this guy. I really hate to be this guy. But I've got this book coming out on April 11th called The Return of the King. And in there is incredible detail about what went down that summer.
Exciting.
Because the cool thing is, doing this book, it was just enough time. And by the way, everything that summer now is verified because it worked. They won a title, so nobody's afraid to talk about it, and everybody's okay talking about it.
The lips get so much looser after wins.
Right. Everybody I got the whole story. I got what was going on with Gilbert, what was going on with LeBron, what was going on with the agents. What was going on
Shameless
with
self-promotion is welcome here in this room, Brian.
I
Do
hate
not
to be
hate
that
to
guy.
be this guy.
But you brought it up.
Please, shameless self-promotion is welcome here.
So literally every point that happened in that summer went down. And at that time, I do think LeBron basically was like, we're trading for Kevin Love. And the Cavs were kind of like, well, we could keep Wiggins, and we might be able to sign Kevin in free agency next summer. And LeBron was like, no, we're trading for Kevin Love. So at that time, like on that particular...
So you're answering the question by saying he does not have influence over roster moves, but then you're telling an anecdote in which he demands a trade for Kevin Love and then receives it.
I mean, I don't know. The
You
word
understand
demands...
why
But here's the thing, like, if it were up to him, David Blatt would have been fired, like, November 17th, 2014.
But doesn't that energy, doesn't that relationship, doesn't that tension lead to David Blatt eventually being fired?
Yes. Did LeBron killed David Blatt with 1,000 paper cuts?
Yes.
But he didn't take the rock, you know? I mean, he didn't, like, go... Because I think there's this perception that he goes into the office...
And knocks on the door,
and goes,
yes.
He's gone, let's go.
Yes.
Like, another thing is, like, people were like, well, you had to consult LeBron before you fired him. And they're like, no, we didn't. Like, that's a lie. Nobody believes that. They didn't have to consult LeBron.
It's on his face. It's there in practice.
Yeah,
it's all over.
They knew. They
Yes.
knew. LeBron had no respect for David Blatt whatsoever, but he did not demand he was going to be fired. In fact, during that second year, I think LeBron had kind of come to an agreement with himself that he was just going to try to make the best of it. Now, that said, it was not good. He really did not treat David Blatt well. David Blatt had no chance because LeBron was not interested. So,
in David Blatt's defense, that was not the job that he signed up for. Is that safe to say?
So look, I'll tell you a story real quick. First day of practice. This is detailed in Return of the King. First day of practice. David Blatt is ready to go. First day of NBA head coach. He's got his whistle. He's got his practice plan. He's ready to go. LeBron walks up to him and says, hey, I'd like to have permission to speak to the team privately right now. What do you do if you're David Blatt?
I say yes to LeBron on day one.
Okay, he did say yes. LeBron takes every player in the locker room, shuts the door. The coaches are standing out there on the practice court, just dribbling around, tweeting their thumbs. LeBron goes to every single player and says, Kyrie Irving, this is what I expect from you. Dion Waiters, this is what I expect from you. This is what your role on this team is going to be. Down to the guys who were like training camp invitees, practice players, essentially. Tim Johnson, I don't even know who they had. This is what I expect from you. And like I talked to the veterans who were on the team, and they were just like, okay, this happens in the league, but it's coaches who do this. So like from day one, from the first minute of the first practice, LeBron establishes higher ground. Now, is that LeBron, is that LeBron dictating the moves? Is that LeBron but like in retrospect, David Blatt should have told LeBron, hey, I'll let you talk to the team, but you got to give me an advance. We have a practice plan. You can talk to him afterwards. But from that moment on, David Blatt began giving ground, and LeBron just took it and just did the thing. So is that LeBron, like, coaching the team, or is that LeBron undermining the head coach? I mean, it depends on where you put your foot.
Look, you can spin anything anyway, but that could also just be LeBron being a leader on a team, telling his colleagues what he expects from them.
That's true. None of the veterans had ever seen it before, like on day one, the player doing it, and he didn't support the coach along the way. For the most part. There were days when he did. It wasn't full. So, like, if it were up to LeBron, like, they would have signed Tristan Thompson to a contract on the first day of free agency. That dragged...
Of course, and J.R. Smith.
And I mean, so... And like this season, LeBron was pining away for a point guard for months. And basically what the Cavs front office said was, just be patient. We'll get it for you. And like there was a good back and forth. So I mean, so people want like this black and white issue, like either he runs the team or he doesn't. I mean, it's this field of gray. Especially in any group dynamic, like even in our industry, like when you work with the same group every single day, like the dynamics of the group are exactly that. And there's a lot of gray area in leadership. Right. And I think, again, are there times where David Griffin wants to pull his hair out and be like, I can't believe how much like, for example, unfollowing the team on Twitter. The guy's got 25 million Twitter followers. He changes a punctuation mark in his Twitter profile. People are going to notice. So when LeBron unfollows the Cavs, of course it's going to be noticed. Did he need to, self-inflict a wound on the team and create a distraction? Like, I'm sure David Griffin was like, God damn it. Why do you have to do that right now? But any of that, all that stuff is all pales in comparison to the positives he brings. And I think the Cavs, at the end of the day, understand that deal better than anybody. You've covered LeBron. You wrote a book about LeBron. You've got a new book about LeBron's decision to go back to Cleveland. When is it going to be out? And the championship run. April 11th. It's exciting. Yeah, I mean, this was a very good project because when I was pitching everybody and being like, hey, I'm going to write this book. Will you sit down and talk to me? I was like, because sometimes people are, they're not sure about books because they go into stuff and I'm like, on the last page of the book, you guys will win the championship. I will promise you that, which is true. And there was such euphoria in the Cavs organization from June 19th or whatever it was, June 20th, basically the start of this season. And I was able to get in there while the euphoria was good to do all these interviews. Exactly. And it's a great story. And I will say that I recently had to read the audiobook for it. And obviously, I wrote it with Dave McMenamin. He contributed. Shout out to Dave McMenamin. Yeah. Dave McMenamin was there every day for this. His reporting was invaluable in this. And he's my co-author. And I was reading the audiobook, which took 14 hours over 3 days, which is tedious. But even as I was reading, like, what was going on during the finals, knowing what happened, knowing what I wrote, it kind of makes you, like, it was such an incredible game, an incredible moment, the back and forth between those teams. I have some very simple questions for you. Did LeBron James intentionally goad Draymond Green into punching him in the nether regions? He definitely stepped over him to send a message like, take this. Yes. You know what's funny? Are we allowed to use the B word on this show? Sure, we can edit it. So one of the things that I was able to find is, when Draymond called LeBron a... Quick aside, I don't know which B word you're about to drop, but we'll see if we get fired afterwards. Draymond called LeBron a bitch. Okay. So what happened was on that play, they get into like a back and forth. LeBron steps over Draymond. Draymond hits LeBron in the groin area. And LeBron gets back and they get face to face. Why did they go face to face? It wasn't because Draymond hit him. It's because Draymond used that word. And you think out of all the words you hear on an NBA court, and you hear them all, why is that word his trigger word? And you know what it is his trigger word? Because previously, like a year earlier in the playoffs, Joakim Noah said it to him, and they go chest to chest. And after the game, I went and found the interview. Joakim was like, man, I said something to him, and he freaked out, and I don't even know why. But, like, that's LeBron's trigger word.
Doesn't that seem like good information if you are facing the Cavaliers in the playoffs?
Well, I've just revealed it. So that's what LeBron was upset about. And then after the game, and again, this is all in the book, I see on Twitter, basically people are like, oh my God, Draymond hit LeBron in the groin. And he was at his locker. I mean, the Cavs locker room was just death.
At that point, it certainly did not look like they were going to win 3 straight games.
3-1, they're in trouble, right? And so I walk over to LeBron. I'm holding my phone, this phone that I've still got, and I hand it to him. I go, look at this. And he looks at it, and it was just a GIF or GIF or whatever, and it was on repeat. And he watched it like 3 or 4 times. And his eyebrows kind of went up because I don't even. I mean, he probably felt it, but I don't. It
wasn't a very it didn't land. We'll say
right. I mean, a couple years ago, James Harden kicked him in the groin and got suspended just for that kick, and that felled the number 23. And he looked at it and he goes, they're not going to do anything.
Reasonable response given the stakes.
Yes. And LeBron feels like he's persecuted. LeBron feels like there's never a foul called on him.
Of course, yeah. No one cares about resting until he rests. Yeah.
Right. So he's got a bit of a persecution complex. So, he did make an issue of it in the post game, just I think to try to get something out of it. Ty Lue went and complained about the officiating, got slapped with a fine after that. But they were more upset about the officiating or something else than they were about that particular play. So, I mean. And the thing is that people don't understand. People think that Draymond got suspended for that hit. He didn't.
I mean, he was already on the verge of suspension.
Right. It was the culmination of things.
Of course.
But go tell it to a Warriors fan who thinks that it was fixed.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is in the book. I think one of the things that no one talks about from Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals is this. It's not the Kyrie Irving 3. It's not the stop from Kevin Love. It is LeBron James rising to dunk on Draymond Green to win the NBA Finals in Game 7. I think if LeBron James makes that dunk, which he was just mere inches from, it becomes one of the most iconic images in the history of the league.
I agree. First off, the power. It was actually a play.
J.R. Smith drive and then a drop to LeBron, right?
I think it was Kyrie who threw in the pass, but it might have been J.R. It was a play that they used to run with the Heat, where Dwayne would run counteraction and set LeBron up. Mm-hmm. The amount of force that he had, it would have been one of the greatest dunks in NBA history. And on top of Draymond did a hell of a job to foul him.
Yes.
And then, so here's the Cleveland fan. He's laying on the ground with his elbow or whatever. And the Cleveland fan's thinking, oh my God, he won't be able to, he's broken his arm. Mm-hmm. He won't be able to shoot the free throws. The Warriors, because they're up by 3 at that point.
They're up by 3 points.
The Warriors pick Timo Mozgov off the bench. He misses 2 free throws.
And this is still a ball game.
Steph Curry comes out, hits a 3. This scenario played out in Cleveland already in 1.2 seconds.
I'm just glad that you're able to sit here and admit that you're a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. You know what I mean?
I'm not a fan, but I
objectivity. Let's not fake objectivity.
Let's put it this way. This book doesn't get written if the Cavs don't win.
Yeah, of course.
So I benefit from the Cavs winning, for sure.
Here's a question. This is something that Jalen brought to my attention. There was one of those sort of Kaiser Sose at the end of what's the movie I'm thinking of? Usual Suspects. Usual Suspects moments. LeBron James is ranting about getting a playmaker. He needs a playmaker. He needs help. It's just him and Kyrie to do all. They have to shoulder all of the load. And then, 36 hours later, we find out that there was a potential Kevin Love for Carmelo Anthony trade. Was that in response to him knowing that they rejected the Carmelo for Kevin Love trade?
I don't know, but I knew that LeBron knew that because...
Of course.
You want to know here?
He doesn't find out like we find out.
Basically, here's what happened. The Knicks called the Cavs and said, hey, would you be willing to trade for Carmelo? The Cavs said, if we're going to entertain this, we want multiple draft picks in addition to Carmelo. We want Carmelo plus this.
Why?
Because they felt that Love is a more valuable player. Love's contract is much cheaper.
Sure.
And so they said, if you...
It's also a start of a negotiation.
Exactly. That's what and it wasn't like they were at the 2-yard line. They were at their own 20. They were the kickoff had just happened, and the Knicks naturally said, "There's no way we're not trading you Carmelo Anthony and a first-round pick." But the Cavs actually wanted multiple first-round picks. I think they were looking to do like a 3-way deal, blah blah blah. So the Cavs wanted to walk out of it with Carmelo and 2 first-round picks. Whether they both came from the Knicks is another story. And so the Knicks said, we can't do that. So the Cavs came to LeBron and said, listen, we just want you to know, the Knicks called us. We can't do this Carmelo trade. We just want you to know that we'll see what happens, but we're not going to do it. So yes, LeBron did know that. But I don't know if LeBron necessarily thought that playing like he basically said I would like to play with Carmelo, but he didn't call for it. I think he was looking for some sort of point guard player. I don't think he was necessarily asking for Carmelo because I don't think Carmelo is a playmaker. He is a scorer. One of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. He's not really a playmaker, I don't think.
We could argue the definition of playmaker, but someone that puts the ball in the basket as much as Carmelo Anthony does is one version of a playmaker.
I guess that's true, but I mean the Cavs have 3 guys averaging over 20 points a game. Scoring isn't their issue. Their issue at that time was they had no creators. They had
Kyrie.
It was like Kyrie and LeBron were the only guys getting assists. There was like only at one point, I don't have the stats right in front of me, but at one point this year, like the Spurs had 7 guys averaging 2 or more assists a game. The Cavs had 2. The Warriors had 7 guys averaging 2 assists a game. The Cavs had 2. I think he was looking for more of a guy who could set stuff up. That's my opinion of it. Maybe he did mean Carmelo.
Tell me one of the most shocking things you learned while reporting for this book.
Man, a lot of it I already knew. I just didn't have a chance to. Man, you put me on the spot.
Give me a little tease. Give me a little something.
I mean, the thing that I wanted to get to the bottom of, which was this secret meeting that the Cavs had with Kevin Love before they traded for him. Like they had a meeting in Vegas and were like, hey, you have 1 year left on your contract. If we trade for you, you're going to walk on us? And Kevin was like, well, I can't promise, blah, blah, blah. But they had like this meeting of the minds. Like if we're going to trade Wiggins, you can't walk on us in a year. And so they had sort of came to an agreement. But the one fact that I was like, wow, I can't believe that happened. The day before Game 7, Ty Lue went to San Quentin. What? He and his coaches and a couple of players to get away from, because there's so many days off during the finals. They just wanted to get out of town.
If you don't know, San Quentin is a high security prison.
Maximum security prison. They went and hung out with the prisoners in San Quentin. What? And Ty Lue, they all know him as the guy Iverson stepped over. Mm-hmm. So he's like in the prison yard. And they're like, "Oh man, I remember when Iverson
Can you lie on the ground for this picture?"
And like that's how he blew off steam. And then he used it in his speech to the Cavs before Game 7, where he was like, I saw those guys in there, and those guys were, we all could be in there. We're one bad decision, one piece of being in the wrong place at the wrong time from being in those bars. So if you go play your ass off in Game 7, like that was his pre-Game 7 activity.
That wouldn't work for me. I'd be like, Coach, let's get to the X's and O's. How are we going to stop Steph Curry?
Right. How are we guarding the pick and roll?
We're going to blitz the pick and roll. What's happening here? So I like to have some outlandish predictions and theories about the NBA.
I looked at these. They're not that outlandish.
And I would like you to just judge the feasibility. How feasible could this actually be?
Yep.
First, after losing in the finals, the Cavs trade for Carmelo Anthony this offseason.
Feasible, because if they'd have lost Game 7 last year, I think they would have traded Kevin Love last year.
I think so too.
And I think they will feel like they have to make changes, so it's feasible.
Out of 100 feasibility rating,
37.
Oh, I'm going over 50 for that one.
Okay.
Matthias Testi will still be cashing checks from the Clippers organization through the end of next year.
And beyond.
I think so, too. This has been one of the most underreported events in the history of the NBA. We have an NBA player in a restaurant that went to multiple bars in a major city, got into a fist fight inside and outside with an equipment manager, injured himself. I mean, there must have been 2 separate physical altercations with other NBA players there. DeAndre Jordan he sticks out in a crowd. Yet we haven't heard one account, not from a bus boy that worked there, not from a patron that was at the restaurant, and Matthias Testi just all of a sudden has disappeared into thin air.
Right. So one, he gets punched by a multimillionaire, gets his jaw broken.
Mm-hmm.
You or me get punched by a multimillionaire and gets our jaw broken, we're getting paid. That's
Yes.
number one. Number
Yes.
two, he keeps it quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So he's sort of taken two for the team.
Yes.
Right? So negotiations begin.
Oh, I think negotiations are over, and I think Matthias Testi is well taken care of right now, sipping a banana daiquiri in like the Maldives right now, in one of those hotel rooms on the water.
And remember, we're talking about the richest owner in all of professional sports, including all those.
What about no?
I think I just saw that he's the richest. Well, I guess maybe like if you're one of the Saudi soccer owners.
Yeah, I think we go international. We'll say domestic sports.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
I think I saw he was worth $30 billion. So
wow,
that was the guy you're negotiating with.
Wow, and sometimes it's hard for me to like look at the way he acts after like a made free throw to bring them within 4 and be like, that guy's worth $30 billion.
He commutes back. I heard this in Simmons' podcast. He commutes back to see. That's right. I can't say that. I heard this on the podcast of a guy we used to know. His photo may or may not be on the wall. He commutes back to Seattle.
No.
After every game. Like, that's your commute. Where's your commute?
He's invented teleportation.
We go down. We got to go to the Palisades.
Yeah,
we
traffic gets tough. So will you go off hours?
No, no. He goes to Seattle after the games.
Wow. Next prediction. Nikola Jokic develops into a better player than Giannis Antetokounmpo.
It's a great question. Nikola Jokic already is better in the Nuggets' eyes than Marcus Cousins, because a year ago they would have traded him for him, and now wouldn't.
Oh, I wouldn't do that either.
I think in the NBA, in today's NBA, you have to be a more dominating wing player. That's more valuable than dominating big. So I think that I would probably rather have Giannis.
That's fair.
But that's sort of that's not an exact question. But you know what? It's an incredible thing to watch.
Can we get a feasibility number on that?
Feasibility, 49.
Okay. Paul George signs with the Lakers.
What if the Lakers don't want Paul George? What if the Lakers have bigger fish on their mind?
Please explain, Mr. Windhorst.
Like he's making an assumption.
I love this.
Like, he's making an assumption. What if the Lakers sign Gordon Hayward this summer? Or what if Russell Westbrook goes to free agency? He doesn't sign an extension. What if he goes to free agency? I mean, what if the Lakers draft a stud in this year's draft and they're like, you know what, we're building around him? Like that.
Can Magic Johnson swing a decision in a meeting?
I don't know. I mean, it's at some point, this is what I do agree with. At some point, somebody is going to say, I will come to the Lakers and be the savior. But it may not be Paul George.
Interesting. Joel Embiid never makes an all-star team.
Wow, I hope not. I mean, I hope so. But
feasibility number, I'm going like 85 on this.
It's over 50. It's like probably 63.
It is, and it's sad. It's look, like no one roots for anybody to get injured, but he is such a captivating personality. He's so funny in a language that's not even his own. And his game is so electric, and it just shows so much potential for someone at his age and experience.
A big man with bad feet and bad knees.
It's tough.
Man, I hate that that's on. It's a fair thing, but I hate that that's the way it is.
Next prediction. This offseason, Adam Schefter breaks an NBA free agency news, and you write him a very strongly worded email.
So let me just say this about Shefty.
You're going to go negative, right?
It can be perceived that way.
Okay, good.
Shefty is amazing with the NFL stuff, but he has reported 2 pieces of information in the NBA that he's reported that both were old news.
Shots fired from Windhorst.
Well, I'm not saying shots fired, but
no, you are. I'm going to be that guy.
I wouldn't dream of even. I don't even know most of the NFL players, so I can't. I mean, like, it's impressive that he's got such this incredible drive that. And here's the other thing, like some of the people that he went to college with, like, are players in the NBA,
Mm-hmm.
so he's got sources. Like, if he made it his priority to get news, like just to show me up, he would be able to get it. But like. A couple of things, like this week, he's like, Paul Millsap, I hear, is going to opt out of the contract. We're like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
We've known for months.
I actually saw that report today.
Yes.
It's like the Millsap considering. It's like, okay, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, like, I admire him trying to do it, but I mean, if he's going to play in the Adrian Wojnarowski game, he's going to have to, that's a hard game.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, much less injured than we have been told, could play right now today if he wanted, and is basically being shut down until the playoffs.
Did you see that today in practice that he went and threw down a two-handed dunk?
Of course he did. Well,
Yeah.
First of all, he's 7 feet tall, so it's not that hard.
Yeah, it's not that big of a
It's not
leap,
that
literally.
crazy, yeah.
So here's the thing with MCL injuries. You can often recover from them. Like if you're going to hurt a ligament and want to come back, that's the ligament you want to hurt. But your knee is usually a little unstable for a while. So could Kevin Durant play today? My guess is he could play. Can he be like that's what happened with, that's what Curry's injury was. That was an MCL injury last year. So was Curry the same? I don't know. So the answer, feasibility here, I think we're in the 90s. I think he definitely could play if there was a playoff game today.
I love it.
But I put this, the word sort of going out there is that behind the scenes, the Warriors are like, oh, he's doing well. Like, they're really happy with his recovery.
They let a little bit of that get out there, but
Yeah.
I think it's in their best interest to kind of
For sure.
make it seem like he's just on the mend, and he might not be 100%, so we're going to put him on the shelf for a while.
Right.
Thank you so much for sitting in for Jalen Rose. Brian Windhorst of ESPN, author of
Return of the King.
On your bookstores.
Yeah, it's
April
available.
11th.
It's available for pre-order now, and if you want, you can listen to me read it on the audiobook for, I don't know, I think it's 7.5 hours or something like that.
What?
So many reasons to be happy, but mainly Jalen Rose isn't here.
Yay!
And Michelle Beadle is.
Oh my!
Joining me, Michelle Beadle, in for Jalen, here on Jalen Jacoby on ESPN Radio. We play a game, Michelle. I know you like games. Games
Love
are very
games.
important to you.
All I
Whenever
care
I go
about.
into Sports Nation, I make sure I bring a game. If I don't bring a game, Michelle Beadle is upset with me.
Well, I don't understand your purpose.
That's very fair. I oftentimes question my purpose as well, and I don't think it's just me and you doing so. This game is called Soft Move or Boss Move. I say a thing that happened in the world.
Ooh.
You decide whether or not it's a soft move or a boss move, and then you quickly explain your position.
Are there right answers to this? Probably. Okay.
No,
got it.
there's not. Dwayne Wade's outfit.
Awful. Soft move.
Soft move.
Wait, is there like a time?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's not Family Feud. Soft move. Soft move. I'm gonna say you're right. You know what? We'll make this a right and wrong. You are correct.
my
It is
number-
a soft move.
Okay.
Why would you wear a suit jacket that is short sleeves?
I've never seen that.
I can see past the deep V. You know what I mean? I'm old. I'm not stylish. I'm out
Well,
of
that's
shape.
how bad the
that doesn't
jacket
work
was.
for me. I can see past the chains. I can see past the T-shirt under the suit jacket, which I do not approve of. Sorry, Marcellus. Hope you're not
I
listening.
don't hate that.
But I cannot
hate
see
that.
past the short sleeves on the suit jacket. I just can't. So soft
This
move.
goes to show what confidence, having a great life, having a beautiful,
That's
wonderful,
why it's
smart
kind of
partner.
a boss move. That's why
Like,
it's in this segment.
But it. I could see that the reasoning behind it might be a boss move, but the overall end game was awful.
I'm glad
Soft.
you brought Gabrielle into this because my wife is. I'm just so proud of her. She's so beautiful that she allows me to wear some sillier clothes. It gives you a little bit more confidence.
Yeah, because you walk the world knowing you're all good.
Naming your child Wardell. Soft move or boss move?
Soft move.
Steph Curry's real name is Wardell. Like, I think that if we called him Wardell, he would be a smaller star and a worse basketball player.
Oh my
Is that
God,
fair to say?
So is he a junior?
Yes, he's a Wardell.
how am I
Curry
just
Jr.
now knowing this?
Because he's brainwashed us all into thinking his name is Steph.
So Del Curry's Wardell?
Wardell, yes. This is not spoken
My
about enough in
brain.
our industry. We know so much about Steph Curry.
We know everything.
Remember how many think pieces were there about Steph Curry last year? Not a single person started calling him Wardell.
I am never not calling him Wardell for
Thank
the
you.
rest of my
and the
career.
thing is, I had this position since last year, but my show is on at 2 a.m. Your show's on right in the middle of the afternoon. Everyone's going to be
That's a
like,
great point.
Michelle Beadle started doing this thing.
No, I'll be like, Wardell, shout out to him.
No, you don't have to.
Well,
You don't
I
have
can't.
to. No, you don't have to credit. You don't have to credit me.
No, you got to credit. I'm going to be that guy.
I promise you, everything funny that Jalen has said to you on Countdown, he first stole
I know
from
that.
me that
I
I,
know
said
that.
first in this room.
Trust me, I already knew that.
Watching every episode of Vanderpump Rules twice. Soft move or boss move?
Soft move.
You know I watch every episode
I know you
twice.
do. Okay, so I have watched many. I'm not going to lie. But to watch that twice as though there's some profound meaning underneath all of the vapid arguing and you're going to find it by watching it a second time seems wasteful to me.
Okay.
And you have kids.
You're wrong
Like, how do you
about
have
that one.
time to watch that twice?
You're wrong about that one.
Man, I have no boss moves so far. Man.
Here's one.
All right.
LeBron James saying that people only care about resting because he rested.
The softest of soft moves.
Really?
Yes. Because it's not true.
I like it, though. It's a boss move. It's like, no one's even talking about this until I did it.
Is it a boss move? Because it reminds me of every moron that, like, legit thinks he invented something, he came up with something, he's, like, the guy, when the rest of us in the room are like, no, that's not how it worked. That's not how it happened.
It's like we were actually talking about this a lot, LeBron.
Like, I know. This
Maybe
literally...
people weren't, like, tweeting you about it.
Like,
They're putting your name in it.
The
We've been
Spurs
talking about
had
this
to
for
write
years.
a check for $250,000
To
once.
who? We have a button for the Spurs. Just for you, Beadle. Naming your dog Leroy Jenkins. Soft move or boss
the
move?
bossiest of boss moves. That's all.
When we first met, when I found out that your dog was named Leroy Jenkins, I was like, "Oh, she's cool."
Yeah, she's
And I was like,
all
"Oh
right.
yeah, she's cool. Okay, she's one of us.
It's
Yeah, we can be real with her."
It's so funny because people that don't know where the name comes from, like,
Just think it's like a weird racial thing.
yes. Like,
Yeah.
I had a black guy once be like, why'd you name him that? I'm like, because of the computer. You know what? I don't even want to have this conversation. Like,
You
hey,
shouldn't.
just trust me. There's a thing on the internet. Just
Yeah,
Google it.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
it's like Leroy Jenkins. It's like, well, this is role-playing video game.
he has
They're about
chicken
to
and,
storm
like-
into this like room that's got way too many enemies inside of it. They're putting together their strategy. It's like
so
you
funny
can't
though.
even explain it.
Never failed. Like, especially when we were in New York. Like, it never fails. I was like, oh man, I didn't realize not everyone knows about that video.
yeah, exactly. And if you don't know what we're talking about, just Google Leroy Jenkins,
Yes.
and then you realize that Michelle Beadle named her dog after this viral
It's
video.
one of the greatest viral videos to this day. And we've
It
had a
is.
lot more since.
It is. Shout out to Leroy.
Shout out Leroy Jenkins.
Being Dwight Howard and eating the equivalent of 24 candy bars a day and still looking great with your shirt off. Soft move or boss move?
You know, my instinct was to hear the words Dwight Howard and like say soft.
It's
But
a boss move.
now I'm gonna say boss move.
It's a boss move.
It's a boss move.
It is definitely
if
a boss
I
move.
could do that, I
Yeah.
would do that. Although
It's
I
like
wouldn't do
someone's like,
candy.
There's so much sugar in your diet, Dwight.
Yeah.
This is hurting your performance.
Maybe it's
All I
what
do is
makes his
just
shoulders like
take
that.
off his shirt and be like, wait, what's wrong with my diet?
What if sugar makes shoulders?
I would have much
I wouldn't do
better shoulders.
candy though. I would do like pizza and pasta.
This one is a tough one.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this. Drake just unveiled that he's got a huge tattoo of Sade
Oh, Sade.
on his rib
She's
cage.
lovely.
Sade rib cage tattoo. Soft move or boss move?
I'm gonna say boss move.
Really?
Hey, here's why. Because we live in a world where the young people don't appreciate history or what came before them. And that's a pretty random tattoo to have of a person who was like amazing and we all loved her. So yeah, I'm gonna give him boss move. It's very different. Would not have guessed that if you gave me 1,000 guesses. He is a weird dude though.
Charles Oakley hosting a party at a strip club
Yeah, listen.
in Manhattan. Soft move or boss move?
That's it?
Yeah,
Boss move.
soft move.
Why?
Come
Literally.
on, Charles Oakley. Come on, Charles Oakley. Like, how much you getting paid for this? Like $2,000.
Oh, you're doing it from a.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, you're doing it from
It's
a
just like,
working standpoint.
Come on, Oak. Like,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You're Charles Oakley, man.
I legit. This is how stupid I am. I legit thought you meant he like personally is just hosting a party at a strip club.
Oh yeah, just like
I didn't know
just
you'd be
the
like a
weekly
paid
thing. Like
appearance.
it's Charles Oakley night every Tuesday at Rascal's.
The only I wish there was a way to somehow make James Dolan be a part of it all,
Oh yeah.
but I don't know how. Like pinatas or something. Pinatas are good.
Let's move on before we get fired.
Okay.
Using your voice to text function on your phone. Soft move or boss move?
Boss move.
Really?
I do it in the car all
you
the time.
don't do this.
I do it in the-
You'll be like, text Jacoby. And then you'll be like,
Well,
I'm
I
going
do.
to
I don't
be
say that
late.
part.
Okay.
I break the rule at a red light. I'll click the little Mikey thing, and then I'll start saying. But the problem is, it's so bad.
and you have to reread it.
And then it's never right. So 99% of the time it doesn't work. And
You've
I don't use
actually
it.
done
But
this?
I've done it. Like, yeah. I'll be like, okay, I'm on my way. Send. Why is that not a boss move? It's better than texting.
Listening to your own music loud in a vehicle in public. Soft move or boss
As if
move?
I was a musician?
Yes, like a I've seen like multiple musicians in Los Angeles and New York City driving vehicles.
You've
They're
seen
very
this?
flashy. Yes.
How have you seen this?
I've seen Sticky Fingers from Onyx do this.
I wouldn't know Sticky Fingers if he walked into this room right now.
First of all,
I
yes,
don't
you
even-
would.
No, I wouldn't.
He's got a very recognizable face.
Does he have a name tag on?
His fingers stick to everything as well.
Well, so do mine.
Great point.
I'm Sticky Fingers.
Kanye does this.
Oh, that I don't. That's not surprising. He probably has like pictures and yeah, he's like a little bit of a narcissist. That one.
Like, imagine you just driving down the street listening to the podcast version of Sports Nation as loud as possible.
Well, my dream in life was to have been born with like the blessing of a great voice because I would have done that hands down, like to be a rock star and just go on the road all the time. So if I had done that, I think I would have. I maybe. Depends on where I am in my career at that point.
Where are you in your career at this point?
Nobody knows. Could be the end. Could be the beginning. I have no idea.
Well, it is the beginning of our experience here on Jalen Jacoby. I'm
Yes.
joined by Michelle Beadle. I'm so excited that Jalen is not here.
Are we on TV?
Nope.
Good.
It's time to play Keep It Moving.
Yes.
There are so many things that get talked about in sports, in pop culture, and on all these shows that we watch and produce and are on all the time. And sometimes some things aren't just worth talking about. So I'm going to bring up something that happened in the world. You're going to tell me to keep it moving or to hit the brakes. Are you ready?
Yep.
Johnny Manziel met with Sean Payton.
Keep it moving.
LeVar Ball was
Keep it
on
moving.
First Take.
Not even-
A woman stranded in a remote desert for 5 days shared how she survived.
I'm listening.
She ran out of gas and was unable to get a viable cell phone signal. Nobody passed by, so on day 5, she walked until she was able to make a call to rescuers, but it dropped before she could tell them exactly where it was.
Wait, what?
Yes. So she walked.
Day 5.
First of all, day 5, I'm out of there. Day 2.
Do you know how
What are you
long
waiting around for 5 days?
5 days would be in that kind of a situation? It's
5
like a year.
minutes in an elevator that is stopped.
Yes,
It's just like, I mean,
exactly.
day 5, I have so many questions. Where did she get water? You can only survive a few days.
Maybe she did the Waterworld thing, but she didn't have a way to like clean it, so she just drank it.
First of all, a Waterworld reference.
I'm sorry, do you guys not do that here?
A Waterworld reference?
Oh, I try to get one in a day.
Good. For those of you listening, Waterworld is a movie that Kevin Costner starred in.
One of the best.
In which the world was flooded.
Yeah,
But he
basically.
could breathe underwater because he was like a fishman.
He was like some sort of weird like rogue
It was
fighter
way too
guy.
long.
But the bottom line is he drank his own pee. Okay.
Perfect. Now the producer is like, all right, let's keep it
Okay.
moving. We're talking about Waterworld here. Jalen would not stand for that.
No, he wouldn't.
Jalen's so upset right
Jalen's
now.
never seen any movies, so that's the whole
He has
thing.
not. Fortune magazine crowns Theo Epstein the world's greatest leader.
Okay, I like this.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
hit the
like
break.
this. I just think it's hilarious that a dude in charge of baseball
Yes.
by a magazine that talks about riches
Yes.
has been deemed
The world's greatest leader.
greatest leader. I don't know if that's a condemnation on all the other leaders in the world or an inside joke, but either way, I like it.
I just kind of feel like leadership comes down to like good fashion, loud voice, and confidence. Like if you look put together and you're confident about the things you say and you say them loud enough,
Well, wait.
great leader.
I actually, you know what? I'd also need,
I've based
and
my
hear me
entire
out,
personality on this, by the way.
I need a dash of intelligence in there. Because you can be loud, but at some point that thing gets blown
Well,
up.
clearly,
Really?
you've not been paying attention to politics.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Police in Peru seize $85 million of cocaine bearing photos of Lionel Messi.
I love it.
So let's
Wait,
talk about this.
85 million.
Yes, $85 million
How much
worth
is
of
that?
cocaine. I
Like-
think they also like a value, like they kind of like overestimate these things to make it seem like a bigger bust. But here's my
That's
question.
still a lot.
At some point, Lionel Messi gets this information. He's like, I'm not Peruvian. Okay.
True.
Okay.
By the way,
And
you better pronounce
why
his
is-
name like soccer aficionados.
Lionel Messi.
God, who are you?
Soft move or boss move? Actually pronouncing international names the right way.
Boss.
Is it?
Boss.
Is it a boss move?
Yeah, it means, hey, I respect the nation from which
So
you
next
came.
time you're on NBA Countdown, you're going to call
Yeah.
him Thon Merkel?
I am, actually.
No, you're not.
1,000%.
Beadle,
Ricky
first of all-
Rubio.
First of all,
Thank you very much.
I know how your brain works. You won't remember this conversation next time you're on ESPN Countdown.
that's actually
you
true.
won't even remember that you did this.
No, I'm going to remember.
So you
it.
just lied.
I actually don't even remember what we said a second ago.
Perfect. Let's keep it moving.
85 mil. Dang.
Peyton Manning says he has no interest.
Keep it
in
moving.
A college campus is holding a funeral for a beloved squirrel.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, we're hitting the brakes on this one.
That's beautiful.
Let me tell you a little bit about this squirrel.
Okay.
The University of Houston, it is a white-tailed squirrel. So it's a noticeable, characterization that people know that is the white-tailed
He's
squirrel.
special.
It is supposed to bring you good luck on an exam or just a fun weekend.
Like if you see it?
Yes.
Okay, man.
If you see a flash of that white tail bouncing around this beautiful campus. Hey.
Okay, then. I'm
Beads.
listening.
Oh, Beads. You're the best. I didn't even realize what I was saying.
I know you didn't.
If you see a flash of that white tail bouncing around campus, it's
gonna bring
gonna
you
be
luck.
good luck. Here was my problem with this news item.
Okay.
You got to name the squirrel. Branding
Agreed.
is very important. Like, I read this whole thing. I was like, what is the squirrel's name? If I'm going to talk about this on national radio, I need to have the information to present to the people. The squirrel doesn't have a name. It's just the white-tailed
I know, it's like we're not giving him or her proper
Branding is so
respect.
important. Sammy the Squirrel. Then it becomes a thing, and there's a Sammy the Squirrel T-shirt.
I don't hate it.
And then there's like, oh, Sammy the Squirrel statue.
I'm so sad. Wonder how he died. Or
Do
she.
you want to be happy again?
Yes.
Today is National Puppy Day. I don't want to talk about that. I just wanted to say it.
I know. I don't even know what it means because every day in my house is National Puppy Day.
Lakers coach Luke Walton used the bench to teach Ingram a lesson in leadership.
Physically use the bench?
Let's keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
This is the best.
That could mean anything.
Jeff Hornacek says the Knicks need a full commitment to the triangle offense next season.
Moving. Back to the 90s.
Did you hear that LeVar Ball was on
No,
First Take?
keep it moving.
Did you guys have him on Sports Nation? Oh, wait, you already had him on Sports Nation before.
I hate it. We did. We're the worst. We made it worse.
Can I just give one LeVar Ball thing?
Yes.
Big Baller Brand is a very bad name.
You think?
It's just a very bad name. It
Did you
reminds
think
me
it
of those
was gonna
Big
be
Dog
good?
T-shirts from back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Or Big Johnson lacrosse T-shirts or whatever.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. Like
Big
Big
Baller.
Baller Brand.
But
We're
putting
big ballers
brand,
over here.
it's the brand,
That's
too.
another
Like,
thing. Another
I don't
thing.
say like
The Nike
Converse brand.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
wearing Converse
I'm wearing
brand.
I'm wearing Adidas brand
Yeah,
sneakers
I don't
right
love
here.
it. It's redundant.
It's silly.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And the logo's bad too.
When is he going to go away? Never.
You know-
The answer is never.
When ESPN stops putting him on shows.
Well, we're not the only ones, so in fairness. Well, I guess we're the only ones that people actually see, though.
You're the best.
I know.
The NFL plans to speed up Thursday night games.
Ooh, keep it moving.
Alex Trebek doesn't know what the winners of Jeopardy spend their money on.
Okay.
Let's discuss this.
I buy that. Yeah,
So
why
this
would he?
has been a headline that I've noticed on like the 7 websites that I read. And this does not surprise me whatsoever. And he explains, he's like, look, we tape the show and then these people go away. They don't get the money. I don't
Right.
follow up with them. They're not my friends. We do 5 episodes a day and I condescend to them.
Does 5 episodes.
I just made that part
No,
up.
and he probably makes like $25 million a year.
Oh, yeah.
He
of
works
course.
like 3 months of the year.
Of course.
God, it's amazing. I get it. Why? I guess the question is, why would we think he would know what they spend their money on?
And why would we think he would sound cool reading rap lyrics? You know?
I mean, that's because
It's
we
like-
like to laugh at white people
I'm
being
so
squares.
tired of that one.
Like,
I'm so
hey,
tired
everybody.
of that one.
Look
This
at
is going to
this.
be hilarious. Watch this. This guy's not a hip hop guy, and he's going to read some rap lyrics.
This is crazy.
This is going to be awesome. It's going to go viral.
And it did, didn't it?
It's gonna go viral.
It worked. It went viral. Damn you, America.
Did you see the guy from Wheel of Fortune yesterday? Of course
I-
you did.
Yeah.
See, let's talk about Kevin from Wheel of Fortune for a second.
Look,
He made a classic play a better play.
Wait,
he
what?
upgraded a streetcar named Desire.
Oh, you're stupid.
And made it a streetcar naked Desire.
No.
Would you rather go to a play called A Streetcar Named Desire or a play called Streetcar Naked Desire?
well, it makes me think that he's the guy that watches all the porn parodies. Is basically who Kevin is.
What's a porn parody?
I don't know.
Me neither. Let's move on. Brad Stevens says he can see both sides when teams rest players.
I'm glad we asked Brad Stevens.
I know. Completely boring, logical dude says completely boring, logical
Hey,
take.
you guys.
Yes,
I see both
understand.
sides.
What are we even arguing about?
Nobody's
I
wrong.
understand. Yeah,
We're
the
all
fans
right.
want to see the stars. The stars want to win championships. Like, I understand. I have a great rationalization of what exactly is happening with this issue, guys.
It's brilliantly uninformative. It's actually well done.
Brad Stevens is like a 500 coach for his career. Is he overrated? Is Brad Stevens overrated? Do you know what it is?
I don't-
Remember what I said. Good fashion?
Does he have good fashion?
No, he wears a suit every day, though.
Yeah, I was going to say. Can't mess that up.
he's not
Well,
wearing-
no, you can mess that up.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry.
can. Yes, you
Back
can.
to Dwayne Wade. Full circle.
Yes. Call back. Yeah. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can call and leave voicemails
That's
for this show.
such a bad idea.
It's about to get worse.
Idea.
We could spend hours talking about how we met in the creation of Sports Nation.
That's true, we could.
I don't like talking about myself that much. I probably like talking about myself less than people even like listening to it, which is very small.
Nobody likes talking about themselves.
No, they do.
Okay, well,
We're in a city full of people that like talking
that's a
about
great point.
themselves.
I just, yeah, okay.
You
I
just
don't love it
remembered
either.
like the last 10 dates you've been on. You're like, oh yeah, everybody likes talking
Don't
about
get me
themselves.
started.
But we met during the creation of Sports Nation. And we're going to have a voicemail segment here. And there might be some familiar voices from your past. But let's just
God, what if I don't recognize
let's
them?
go to the first voicemail.
All right.
Hey guys, calling with a question for Sports Nation. Big fan of the show in its early days. Question for you guys, how did you ever find Michelle Beadle? I might be crazy, but I think I saw her eating nachos for the Yes Network at Nets games. It could be wrong.
Wow.
Do you recognize that voice, Michelle?
Yes, his name is Whitney.
His name is Whitney. His name is Whitney. First off.
He doesn't like for me to remind him, but it is.
He was one of the original producers on Sports Nation back in the day, and he's wrong about a lot of things. First of all, he's calling into Jalen Jacoby and calls it Sports Nation.
He really did,
Then
didn't
he
he?
says he used to be a fan.
I know. What's that
in
mean?
the early days. Come on now.
It's even better now.
And then he said that you saw you eating nachos on the Yes Network. However, it was a hot dog.
No. I also ate
you did nachos too?
Yeah. Let me get you something to understand here. The Nets were awful that year. I think they won like 3 games. So every game I
Take
had
us
to
back
find
even
something
further.
to do.
You were doing what?
Net sideline.
Okay.
And we came up with this segment where every game I would just go find something stupid to do, just to have 2 minutes of
So
not the
different
game.
than what you do now for ESPN.
When you think about it, it's
so
like
much.
13 years later.
Every day, I just find something stupid to do.
And
So I
that
started
was
doing
it.
yoga yesterday on the show.
Yeah, but that was real.
That was hard.
That was hard.
That was hard.
Actually, I liked it because it was harder for those guys than they realized, which that's all I want. I just want Marcellus to sweat and also maybe get hurt a little bit.
I just want Marcellus to stop sweating.
It doesn't.
Okay.
The day he took on the ball dude, he sweat as much as I sweat after about an hour on the treadmill.
We're not allowed to talk about LeVar.
Well, that's why I said I didn't want to. I didn't want to do his whole name. I was trying.
Thank you so much for the call, Whit.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Whitney.
that. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
What up, guys? Long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm curious, Michelle. At what point in your audition did you know you got the Sports Nation role?
Oh, God. I think it was right around the time I put the 3rd Post-it note up on a chalkboard.
Big shout out to Danny Corrales.
Hey, what's up, Dunkface?
Who's also one of the original producers.
And also loves that sound.
Creator
more than anyone
of
I know.
the term Dunkface.
He is the creator. He's on Twitter as such.
There is an anecdote that I would like to share from your early time at Sports Nation. We all wanted you to have the job because you were far and away the best person that we talked to.
Oh, my God. Thank you.
But
I was like the last one y'all brought in. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
After
for sure.
1,000.
Yeah,
which is
because
kind
you
of
were eating
rude.
nachos in the Yes Network.
Kind of rude. Think about it.
Yes. But you were by far our favorite. You know that. And you got the job. So that's all. None of that matters now.
No.
But at one point, there was an executive at ESPN that asked you to write an email detailing how you would change the network. You responded with like 4 words. It was like more purple. I like the color purple. True or false, Michelle Beadle?
Okay. In my defense.
No. There's no defense
No,
for
I'm
this
going to defend
email.
it because there's 2 things. Number one, it wasn't to change the network. He wanted me to change the show. And it was like a list of 10 things. Well, number one, the show didn't exist yet.
Sure.
So how am I going to change something that doesn't
we
exist?
didn't know
it was
what
like
we were
this
doing.
existential
it's
crisis.
not like we even had a good
Right.
idea of what the show was going to be either.
A lot of people don't know this about me. I try not to take things too seriously. And
What?
I thought he was kidding. So my list was all a mockery.
It legit said, more purple, we need more purple.
We did. There was no purple on the set.
So then word gets back to us that you've completely failed this task from an important executive. And then we're tasked
To
with
my agent.
rewriting the email on your behalf.
Remember, you guys brought me in like a principal's office.
Oh,
You're like, we got to do this
yes.
for real.
We're like, Beads, we love you. We want you to succeed. Help us help you.
Okay, can I also defend myself again? This is not new. When I was a kid, I snuck out of the house once to go toilet paper some houses with friends. I got caught, obviously. And my dad, who's not great at punishing, was like, why don't you write me a list of like 20 things that could have gone wrong? And my list was things like a plane could have fallen out of the sky and
pretty
landed
good.
right on. Like,
That would have been bad.
Alien. Like,
That would have
not
been bad.
one was serious. Because so my list making abilities, they've never been great. Or maybe they've been great. It depends on how you
Sounds
look
good
at
to
it.
me.
Man, that list was awful. I can't believe we
Our
even came
Bristol
up with
producer
stuff.
John Lawrence worked with Colin on Colin's show once
Yeah.
upon a time when he worked at this company.
He did?
And he's telling me right now that Colin claims that he discovered Michelle Beadle.
No, he did not.
Do you know who discovered Michelle Beadle? Michelle Beadle discovered Michelle
Well,
Beadle. Michelle Beadle's
a
been
good
Michelle
point.
Beadle ever since Michelle Beadle was Michelle Beadle.
Technically, that is 1,000% true.
But you always know
I was Michelle Beadle working at Fiesta, Texas.
it's always good when people take credit for your success. That means you're doing well.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing that happened. But it's cute.
Let's listen to another voice.
Okay.
Beadle, it's Beadle time! What's that sound? That's my first line of football. Do you see me on Twitter? I still got it.
Wow.
That's a bit of an inside joke. You might not expect to hear this, but that is a very serious executive
That's a
at
suit.
ESPN.
That is a suit now.
And a gentleman who will not be named.
No.
But we did this one thing called Fake Calls from Real Fans.
That was a segment.
And it was much like this one, really.
100%.
Nothing has changed in 14 years. We asked people to call in, but people didn't call in, so we would fake them. And we
was
had
gonna call in?
a colleague of ours that would fake being Brett Favre, but Brett Favre had a really weird accent and was very enthusiastic about his
He was
questions
like
that he
Yosemite
asked.
Sam.
Yes, it was like the
he and Brett
Tasmanian
Favre-
Devil, Yosemite Sam, and like a can of Red Bull.
Oh, yeah, the Red Bull. You need it. Wait, so there wasn't a question in there.
No, and then this executive writes me later and says, I forgot to ask a question. Show Michelle this video of Brett Favre throwing passes.
Oh, the one
and
the other
ask
day.
her if she's surprised that he can still throw footballs.
That's a real
And do you know
question.
what I did with that email? Delete.
Yeah, that's a real question.
Yeah, I was like,
Wow.
I don't want to talk to Michelle about that.
I'm surprised.
We did actually get real calls from real fans. Let's listen to
No,
one
you
of those.
didn't.
Hey, Jalen Jacoby and Michelle. How are y'all today? This is Kyle from San Antonio. I have a question for Michelle. My family is a very hardcore. They're all hardcore Spurs fans, and my last playoff game that I went to was the infamous Derek Fisher .4 shot, and since then I have been banned from all playoff games. This year, going to regular season games, I am undefeated, and I just want to know, should I be allowed to go back to a playoff game this year, or because of the .4 shot, should I never go again? Thank you, guys. Give the people what they want, and go Spurs, go!
Go Spurs! That's a good question.
First of all, Kyle. Little long-winded on the question. However, great finish.
No, it's great.
That's a really legitimate question. I'm so glad
It's a real
Michelle is
question.
here
Right.
to answer.
So I believe in jinxes and curses with all of my being.
Of
With
course.
because I actually, my best friend is not allowed to even turn a Spurs game on in the house. She is 0 for 1,000 when she does. So she's not allowed to watch them. That being said, you are undefeated in the regular season. What I would suggest is that you go to a game, preferably early in the first round, to see. Just because you know what? Because we as a team, you and me and the Spurs, Kyle, we can recover from an early round one loss.
Yes.
If you save it for like game 7 in the finals, I'll kill you.
You're not supposed to dip your toe in the cursed water in the second round of the playoffs.
Ease in.
First home, second home game of the first series.
Even
you
first,
go,
even
and you
first.
know what? If you're down 10 at the half, just go home.
That's right.
That's all. Just give it a half. Give it a half.
You'll know that, like, you know what, Kyle? You're just not meant for the playoffs.
I appreciate that call, Kyle.
That was
Let's
a good
listen to another
question.
voicemail.
Is it a deal breaker if your date orders an appetizer as their entree?
Oh, first of all, that's a hard no. That is a hard.
It's not a deal breaker?
No,
Got
not
it.
a deal breaker at all. I am a huge fan of we're going to order 2 appetizers and split 1 entree, maybe even 3 appetizers and split. I want more plates on the table than there's space for.
You like a tapas style eating.
Yes,
Yeah.
I want a taste of everything.
I agree.
I want to order lots of different menu items. Sometimes me and my wife watch a lot of reality television.
I didn't ever heard that.
Whitney and Bobby had a show.
God, they did.
We know how that show ended.
R.I.P.
But one thing they did is they would order the entire menu when they went to restaurants. And sometimes me and my wife sit down and go, let's Whitney and Bobby it tonight.
Trust me, I get it.
So-
Unless
so
it's a
weird they were
steak
so hungry,
place.
too.
If it's a steak place, you order a steak at some point. You have to ultimately order a steak.
That's fair.
Anything else, honestly, because I have the habit where I order a bunch of appetizers. I call it ordering for the table, even if the table's 2 people. If it's a breakfast, there's always going to be pancakes for the table. Or some sort of French toast item, and if it's a regular, there's going to be a pasta dish for the table. Because I'm like you, I want to have my perfect meal is a bite of 1,000 different things. Like I always thought, if I was on death row, I'm going to throw them a real curveball because my meal is going to be all over the place. I don't want just like a steak and potatoes and a Coke. No.
So
I want
we
a bite.
do this thing on the show called 0 to 100, right?
Oh, God.
Where you basically just kind of give the chances. You say 0 to 100 whether or not something's going to happen. 0 to 100, you actually end up on death row.
39.
39?
It's a chance.
There's a chance.
There's a chance. You never know.
I mean,
anything can happen.
Chances are you will not.
Right.
But it's not off the table.
It's not impossible.
That's very fair. Let's
To be
listen
fair.
to one more voicemail.
Jalen, Jacoby, Beadle, what up, though? I've got a question for Michelle. How satisfying would it really be if your Spurs end up with the #1 seed in the playoffs?
Oh, the most satisfying. I would love it so much. But more importantly than that, because they've been the number 1 seed before and lost to the Memphis Grizzlies. So I just need them to go all the way. Ooh.
What's happening here?
I'm shimmying.
Jazz jams. Little jazzmatazz. So, Peyton Manning said this about rumors that he wanted to enter the political ring. Quote, I don't know where that came from. Last week I was going to run a team. This week I was apparently going to run for Senate. And next week I'll be an astronaut. My question for you, Michelle Beadle. Would you rather run a sports team, be a senator, or be an astronaut?
I don't like to fly.
Okay.
So I can't be an astronaut.
Astronaut's just off the table. It's ridiculous.
I wish I could.
Why?
But it's so many
What's the
Xanax,
point?
and I would miss the whole trip.
Exactly. So many Xanax.
So much Xanax. At this point in my life, I think I'd like to be a senator.
Really?
Yeah. Doesn't it look like fun?
No. No.
I actually wanted to be a senator before all this. Like, I wanted to go into politics. I wanted to be president, but I wasn't born in this country, and apparently that's a thing. But, yeah. No, I think I would. I think it'd be fun to try to change stuff, make it better.
You were born in Italy?
Make it great. Yeah.
I think people don't associate your Italianness because your last name is Beadle.
Well, and I'm like, people think
Yeah, it feels
Italians
like
are dark
Beadleini.
skin, dark
Yeah.
hair. What they don't understand is from Rome up, it's a lot of light haired,
Yes.
green eyes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Northern Italy is a lot of blonde.
I try to
and
explain
like
it.
fair skin.
These peeps don't understand.
They don't.
Y'all are thinking of Sicily and the Sopranos. It's a different thing.
I finally get to talk about something that's very important to me.
Okay. Your kids?
No.
Oh, okay, right.
Jalen Rose has never seen Game of Thrones and sort of like actively is like aggressively anti-Game of Thrones.
Well, because he feels left out now.
And now that he's not here,
And he's angry.
we can discuss it. So my question for you is,
discuss.
What is your prediction for the end of Game of Thrones?
Okay.
Wait, first of all, I just want to say spoiler alert because we're both going to be right.
Right.
So if you don't want to know exactly
Wait,
what
we
happens...
are? You think you know?
I know. I do know.
I think I know. Can I tell you how weird this is that we're talking about it? Do you know what I'm doing when I leave here until later on today?
Rewatching the last...
Better. I'm putting on my Don't Feed the Dragon sweatshirt. I'm joining my friends, and we're going to the Forum, where the composer of Game of Thrones music is actually going to have an entire orchestra, and it's a concert of Game of Thrones stuff.
Get out of this studio.
Yeah. That's happening in my life.
You're doing that?
With like Rachel Nichols, Ramona. Yeah. We're going to nerd it up.
Okay.
I'm going to cheer.
So all of Rachel Nichols,
Rachel's
Ramona,
the
Michelle
worst.
Beadle, and you guys are going to like dress up and go listen to a composer do Game of Thrones stuff.
I have an entire Jon Snow costume, but nobody else, like Steve Mason, like nobody else wanted to dress up. So I was like, fine, I'll just wear something.
Where do you get an entire Jon Snow costume from?
Now who doesn't watch the other person's projects? Oh, we just did an entire Game of Thrones thing on Sports Nation. Fool.
That's right.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And we had a throne. Oh, anyways, what do I think? So now, I believe the theory that that their sister brother.
By they, you mean
John and the Queen.
Khaleesi.
Yeah, I call her the Queen. I think that might turn out to be what is the thing. But the problem is I don't understand this. So are we just going to end up, because look, we only have
Here's
13
what we
episodes
get.
left. Everyone dies?
Targaryens can ride dragons. Three
Right.
dragons. One of them, we're riding one of them, Khaleesi.
Yep.
Riding another one, Jon Snow.
Yep.
Riding another one, theory, Tyrion.
Why would he be able to?
He might not be a Lannister.
Wait, but how would he have ended up?
He might not be a Lannister.
I mean, it makes sense because the dad was always sort of like, yeah,
Okay,
you're not.
first of all, you
I'm
know me well
embarrassed
enough
of
to
you.
know that, like, if once you start getting into details and like follow-ups about these characters, I just don't have it because
No,
I drag
that's
my
Rachel.
entire day to the trash every time it's over.
God.
But my prediction is this: the last shot of
Good.
Game of Thrones will be Michelle Beadle. It will be the Night's King sitting on the throne.
And it's Jon Snow?
No, I think it's going to be. I think that the ice zombies are going
Shut
to
your
win.
mouth.
That's Game of Thrones. That's how
That
it works.
cannot.
It's just going to end with like a bummer. It's going to be like, guess what? Like they lost the war, and now the White Walkers have taken over
can't.
Westeros.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. What would be more disappointing? That as an ending?
Or the Spurs winning the NBA championship.
No, shut up.
They're so boring.
Or the fact, you're boring. The fact that they've jumped the shark Entourage style by having Ed Sheeran, Noah Syndergaard.
Oh yeah, and Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Every time
I'm angry about it.
Every time a new one of these is announced, it's like guys. Like, let's not let like your little like boyish fantasies about meeting Conor McGregor
It's
start
Arya.
influencing what I see
That's
on
happening.
Game of Thrones.
Apparently Arya, on the Ed Sheeran one anyways, Arya loves Ed Sheeran.
That's ridiculous.
And so here we, but I just.
That's ridiculous. You know what I would say?
I
Guess
just
what?
don't wanna see
Arya,
him.
do you know what you get? the thousands of dollars that we pay you per episode. Do you know what you don't get?
So
to tell
many.
us who to push in the show.
But as long as you cover them up and we don't know it's them, like maybe they'll just be extras in the back. Because for all we know, they've been doing this the whole time and we just didn't even know about it. Like they've been putting friends and stuff, famous people in the back. And because if you take me out of it, I see Ed Sheeran's little face, it's going to be a problem. We only have 13 episodes left of this beautiful fantasy.
Can you name an Ed Sheeran song?
Thinking of You.
I cannot.
Shape of You. Castle on a Hill.
You ready for this question?
Yeah. Oh my God,
Do you
I can't
believe
believe
that NBA players actually party less now?
Party less now?
The Tom Haberstroh wrote the article, and we've all been talking about it, blah, 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 Tinderization,
Well,
blah,
it
blah.
depends on how we're describing partying. Is partying the actual physical act of being out in a different place, or is it just being up all night doing
Do they
things?
drink less, fornicate less?
No, I do not believe that.
I do not believe that
That's
either.
first of all, that's no.
I just think that they're smarter about letting us
That's
find
not
out.
how I got that. That article's not how I read it. I read it as though they're still doing these things. They're just not having to put in the legwork to meet somebody, schmooze,
Sure.
and boop. It's like
But that's
literally
the
like
pull quote.
ordering.
But there's that one thing where it's like, well, if you drink alcohol and then play basketball the next day, it's like aging your body 12 years. It's like, wait a second. Well, if that's the case, then both Jalen and I are like 70,000 years old.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's ridiculous.
Alcohol's not new. That's
yeah.
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
12 years. That seems extreme.
It does. Another NBA thing that's really important to talk about.
Yeah.
There was another column, another journalistic endeavor from our company.
Yes.
From Baxter Holmes. This one was about peanut butter jelly sandwiches.
Peanut butter.
What is your ideal peanut butter jelly sandwich in terms of bread, peanut butter, and jelly options?
So I was late to this party. Having an Italian mom, I never had peanut butter and jelly as a kid. So I know.
Is that some sort of grounds for a lawsuit or something?
It's in hindsight, I do believe I have something to stand on there. My bread needs to be toasted in a perfect world. I do like toasted bread, and I'm really just
lightly toasted.
I like mine to be not burnt, but not lightly, like a nice
But you
brown.
don't carry around a picture in your pocket of the burnt toast? Like, who's that, Jim Nance?
It's so stupid.
I love that.
Why does he do that?
I liked it.
It's so weird. Yeah, and I'm just old school. Although almond butter is good, but if you're going to do peanut butter jelly, good old fashioned. I like crunchy.
Okay.
And just some good old Smucker's grape.
Grape?
Yep.
That's where you missed me.
Wait, that is what a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is. That everything else is some sort of
Strawberry.
That's not how it started.
Strawberry.
It's not the original.
First of all, you started the whole thing by being like, I've never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Right.
And now you're like, well, if you go back in the annals of the origin story of peanut butter and
Because
jelly
I did
history.
a bunch of research after the fact.
Yeah, first of all, you've never researched anything.
No, it's stupid. Why would I?
Beans, what are you talking about?
Just make it up. That's what we do.
We have a couple questions from our 1-800-Flowers Twitter account.
God,
You're
how
listening
many things
to
do you have?
Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. We are joined by Michelle Beadle, and by we, I just mean me because Jalen's not here. Smokey Rondo wants to know,
Yes.
Wouldn't NBA Countdown be better with David Jacoby on it? That's obviously a yes.
I say yeah. Yeah, why aren't you on it?
Duh.
Let's just make it happen. Let's like Game of Thrones NBA Countdown. We just bring all our friends on.
$4 million an episode. Per second, $4 million.
You know what? That's good. We'll do that. We can make that happen. We have a budget.
Next question we have is from David Norton. Beadle, what's the most ridiculous argument that you have ever gotten in?
Oh God. Oh, it's probably like a ex-boyfriend argument.
Those aren't fun. Those are the dumbest.
No, but then you're like 10 minutes in and you're like, what do we do?
No,
What
it's
is
also
this?
like when you're telling your best friend, you're like, oh, I'm so mad right now. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, what happened? And then you're like,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't. Well, see, every time she washes the dishes, she does wash the dishes, but then she puts the sponge like on this
It's
other
so
part.
dumb.
It's
I know what the
ridiculous.
dumbest argument I've ever had was actually with Whitney, and it was we're trying to figure out if the last name is Thornton or Thornton. Thornton?
What is it?
I don't know.
Billy Bob?
Any of them. There's the hockey guy, like Thornton.
Thornton.
Or Thornton. There's a difference.
Let's have one of our producers look that up. I'm gonna go Billy Bob.
Like, how do you say it?
Thornton.
I think we just mumble it so fast that we just go Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah. I mean, that's
We just eliminate the
Giannis
end.
Antetokounmpo. It's just like, yeah, sure.
Love that name.
Like, I'm around.
Love
I'm
it.
around it.
Poetry.
Next question we have. This is from Meh.
Meh.
Legit Meh.
My life.
MEH period. Meh.
Perfect.
Cool Ranch or nacho cheese Doritos? There is a right answer. This is what we're going to end on. We're going to get the answer from Michelle Beadle. We've all been wondering. You're only going to get it here on Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
Nacho cheese.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I'm so happy that Jalen Rose is not here.
Me too.
But we do miss him a lot. In all
we do.
seriousness, he's one of my favorite people in the world. And
Agreed.
Michelle Beadle, I want to say thank you to you. And I also want to thank Brian Windhorst for joining us earlier. And most importantly, I want to, this is just for the podcast audience. It's Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, but no one says it that
See, we care about our podcast audience, and we give them exclusive little
Thornton.
information bits like this.
Thornton.
Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with new special guests.
We out here.